So this is Isaac Lenkiewicz. He also came out this week, and Isaac's doing the medieval era story. So here's a few questions about our process. So Isaac, have you worked with a writer before, and how do you find it different when you're working with a writer as opposed to working on your own material?
Yeah, I've worked a few times. The main difference is with someone else's script you have this structure that you're working with. Mine are really quite loose, sometimes not even fully written. So you've got this like really solid structure to work with. It's really nice. For the stories, you had information about the characters to go by, but for my story, because it's so early on, I was wondering what you went by.
Well, yeah, because yours is set during the medieval period, there's very little surviving from that. So one interesting thing I did find is there was a riot at the castle 2 years after it was built, and it was built in 1378, and so 2 years after that, 1380, the Peasants Revolt started in 1381. Now I think it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the two were perhaps linked, because the Peasants Revolt started right in this area of England, and so I supposed that it was part of that, and I found a medieval peasant labourer that I thought was perhaps a good character to explore his experience of the Peasants Revolt. So what are you most looking forward to drawing?
There's quite a nice description of a scene on the surrounding grounds away from the castle. It says it's a dark, starry sky above the peasant village. I thought that sounded good. And there's a battle scene as well, which is also quite exciting.
Yeah, I imagine the battle scene will be quite fun to draw.
Were there any other stories you would have liked to have told about the castle?
Yeah, I had one about the landscape itself, because it strikes me that as much as humanity tries to impose themselves on the earth by building these structures like castles that are long-standing and, you know, imposing, the earth itself just remains, and so when we're long gone, the landscape will recover as though we were never here. And so I did a story about the earth and the sea and their relationship, and they were personified as a man and woman in a relationship, and the sea is pregnant with humanity, and it sort of goes along their journey of, you know, humanity being born and then how they deal with that, and in a very like sort of domestic couple sort of way. But I felt it was a bit too disconnected from the castle itself, and because this project is about the castle, I wanted to remain within the historical setting rather than the fantastical supposing of the earth and the sea's relationship. So yeah, I cut that one out.